very excited. If you're tuning in for the first time here, I'm very excited because today is the first day of using a new microphone. And this thing is awesome. Man, it sounds so good. Oh, it's awesome. So, I am going to talk today about sort of the some challenges this week. So, as I had my logo up there, the YouTube live daily show here. Here's my nice new mic, and I got my headphones. I am using a Scarlett. Let's see if I can get it in there. Nope, I can't. All right, Scarlett 2i2 with a Shure SM7B Audio Technica headphones. Got my boom stand. I've got a pop filter, but found out I didn't need one with this thing. And I have not set this up yet, but it is a cloud lifter. Getting a little bit of an upgrade here on my tech. Very excited to utilize it here today for the daily show. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about how this week has gone for me as a business owner. So this week I started off the week, I made an emergency visit to my sister to help her move, which was not something that happens every week, obviously, and it was definitely a little bit challenging, but it was great. And it was very strange traveling with COVID amongst us, if you will. I was on the plane there, was probably the only person there. I posted on LinkedIn if you didn't see, or Twitter, I think, if you didn't see it. I was the only one in my entire row, which is just very strange. I personally love the hustle and bustle of airports and the travel, kind of the luxury, the not so luxurious coach travel. I enjoy that. It's fun. It keeps me kind of grounded in my daily life. I love to get out and to experience new places or old places. So this time I went out to Chicago and was at my alma mater, Wheaton College, for a little bit, and was helping my sister move since she got a new job out there. So it was exciting times. However, so I took most of Monday off. I came back and felt absolutely terrible. Oh my gosh, I cannot even tell you. Felt so bad. And I was afraid that I actually had contracted COVID. Cool. Just making sure it wasn't an urgent thing. And thankful. So I got tested. I'm going to find out tomorrow if I have COVID or not. But I did find out that I have strep throat, which really stunk and has stunk all week. I'm usually up at around 4:30 in the morning. I think I've slept until 8:30 or 9 almost every day, going to bed around 8 to 9. So trying to sleep this one off. I went on a run still today, which, my wife and mother and sister would not be happy with me, but trying to run it off. Anyway, one of the things that I've been learning, though, is I need to listen to my body and to my mind as an entrepreneur so that I can, first of all, perform well, but second of all, can make sure that I am putting my best foot forward mentally and physically. So for me, that has looked like kind of shifting down even further. I put up a LinkedIn post about the power of shifting down to 85%, and it was based off of an interview that Tim Ferriss did on his podcast, talking about the popular uh, Olympic runner, who, when they did an analysis on his kind of finishing races, he was at probably putting out about 85% capacity. Like Usain Bolt, hitting his chest on the way to the finish line. People who are operating at 85% typically go faster for longer, and than people who are laying it all out. Leaving one in the tank typically helps you to go longer and faster. So I shifted down to 85% probably this past month, and then had to shift to probably 50% this week, which really stunk. I'm an achiever. I'm a goal mindset, task oriented person. So it was very challenging for me. However, it was also helpful in understanding the necessity and the fruit of listening to your body. So The other thing mentally that was challenging, I lost a family member yesterday morning, which was definitely sad. Don't want to talk too much about it on the live stream, as you can imagine, but very challenging day yesterday. And I found that as opposed to having a job, when you're an entrepreneur and something like strep and physical illness and then loss of a family member happens, you don't really have the permission just to unplug and go silent. So that was very, very strange. It was a strange experience yesterday. But what I was able to do was is clear some non-essential meetings yesterday, and I spent some time, first of all, in the urgent care, but then second of all, at a park. Turned email notifications off on my phone, went to a park, and just started jotting down memories of this loved one and processing and giving myself some room to feel. One thing that I noticed is I felt completely rejuvenated, slept really well yesterday, and felt completely rejuvenated today to get some work done that needs to be done. Death of a family member is not about me. It's not about anything to do with me. I don't want you to take that away, of course, but it is important when considering how to manage these things as an entrepreneur. That's what I'm trying to get at here on the live stream today. So that's what I'm going to focus on is how do you listen to your body, both mentally and physically as an entrepreneur, and give yourself permission to do what you need to do in order to feel what you need to feel and heal and rest and unplug. I found that to be super important, especially in this first 6 months. Monday will mark 6 months, my 6 month anniversary of officially starting this business kind of full blown. I mean, if you count from the day that I incorporated, it was like the 27th of last month, but full blown, full time, this is my full time gig for 6 months starting on Monday. In that 6 months, I have performed decently well for my biggest customer, brought on 5 new clients for them. They typically bring on 2 on average over the past 20 years. So brought 5 on in 6 months, which was great. Closed probably $1.2 million in business, which was great total contract value. And I started a new agency, the Aura Media podcasting agency, which you're likely familiar with. I was trying to show the logo here, but it is not showing up. Uh-oh. Anyway, I'll figure that out later. But so started that agency, signed a customer on for that, did a one-off project for another customer with that, and I launched a podcast out of that agency for a customer, and we got 250 downloads over the past 7 episodes. We got 1 lead from that and have really been performing well. I contracted Miles Veth and Veth Group, great company. If you want email marketing completed for you, it was awesome company. He sent out probably 21,000 cold emails for me, generated a ton of interest in both one of my customers that I'm doing outsourced sales for, as well as my podcasting business. So awesome. Still working on closing a couple of other podcasting deals, so you'll hear more about that later probably. This past 6 months, personally, we paid off all our loans except for the house, which was huge. We're in a great cash position now, kind of moving into the next phase of the business and growth. I contracted a couple partners. I hired an assistant. I contracted 2 coaches that have been awesome for me. I hired a lead creative to do everything from this logo that you see all the way to all of the creative needs that you have as a podcasting agency and as a salesperson. There we go, and that was awesome. I have a finance person who runs my books, which has been awesome. Got all the documentation that's needed for that person to handle my books, which was great. I interviewed a number of salespeople and have one lined up for the fall for one of my contracts that I have with my customer. Actually, just closed another outsourced sales customer a couple of days ago. I've got my sights set on acquiring some property and working through a pre-application process for that as a way to move money out of the business onto investments in equity that I believe will be the variable to actually growing some wealth in amongst this company. So one thing that I've been thinking about is personally how I want to approach business and my own kind of mentality is from a place of detachment. So a place of detachment. I'm being super vulnerable here. Hopefully this is okay. Um, oh well, whatever. So a place of detachment. So what I want to do is I don't want to have to live off of any money from my business at all. I want to move money that's generated in my equity in my business, in my businesses, three at the moment, into assets that are more passive than owning a business, not maybe not fully passive, but more passive, and move them into assets, build equity that has some sort of cash flow and equity growth model associated with it. The one that I'm most familiar with is real estate. So that's what I'm going to focus on. I also feel maybe a false sense, but a sense of control over kind of my investments in real estate. Instead of investing in Bitcoin, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, wealth management firms, whatever, I want to invest in real estate because I believe I can have more control over that real estate, and I also feel like, sorry, it might be popping a little bit on my audio there. I also feel so I might have more. I feel like I'll have more control over my real estate assets because I can manage the properties myself. I can, tenants are my customers, so I can evaluate tenants, put good tenants in my properties, and after putting a good tenant in the property, that's what is the cash flow generation. Their job, whatever they're doing to produce income, is results in cash flow from that kind of microcosm of a business, which is a single property. And then also there's amortization of the loan. So basically, amortization meaning paying down of debt. So say you have $5,000 in credit card debt. Hope you don't. But if you were paying, say, $100 a month and your minimum payment was $50, then you're paying down that loan $50 at a time. You're amortizing that loan and building equity. So if you have an asset behind that debt, like a property, then that asset, you own more and more of that asset as that loan is amortized, and the tenant is doing that for you. So say you go out and purchase a $200,000 property, your monthly payment on that is maybe $1,500 if you're super aggressive, maybe $1,000 a month. You rent it out for $1,500 a month. So $1,000 a month is your mortgage, all in costs on that property, not including maintenance and things like that, which is important. But $1,500 is what your tenant is paying you. So say that it gets a little complicated because there's obviously interest in loans, but say $800 of that $1,000 is going towards principal every month. Then if that tenant is paying you $1,500, you're paying the mortgage company $1,000, $200 in interest, $800 paying down that loan. So it's almost like forced savings. It's kind of like you have $800 in a savings account that is your property. So you own $800 more of that property, but then also you have $500 a month above and beyond the mortgage payment that could be used for things like maintenance It could be used for your HOA, your taxes, whatever. If you have mortgage insurance, your home insurance, if your tenant is not paying utilities, your utilities, things like that, snow removal, lawn maintenance, you get the idea. Or if there is control, say $100 of that $500 above your mortgage payment goes to some of those factors, then you've got $400 of cash flow. My goal, long-winded way to get around to this, my goal is to live off of that cash flow, to save through that amortization of loans or building of equity in the investment, and then use the money generated, the profit generated from my business to acquire those assets. So say, I make 30 grand in my business over some period of time. I then go buy a $150,000 property with 20% down. Say I make 40 grand, 10% of closing costs or so. Then I'm living off that property and not living off the 30 grand profit from the business. Again, this is what I believe will help me to grow in detachment from the performance of my business. So say I've got, 10 properties that's paying me 4 grand a month. So, I'm making $48,000, which is above, the average pay for a person. Obviously, I'd love to be making more than that. Say I had 30 properties and I'm making, $120,000 at that point. Then at that point, I don't need the business to perform really. So I can take risks. I'm personally not taking risk by taking risk with the business. And then I can really evaluate business opportunities based off of market dynamics and take away the personal baggage that I may bring to that evaluation. So that's how I'm doing it. It also helps to, especially for client service businesses, like I've started with an agency and with an outsourced service for sales. I think, I can get some tension and some pressure and some challenges with client services. It's like you have, people say, oh, I'm going to start my own business, so I want to be my own boss. Really, what happens is your customers are your boss, and they're much more relentless than your boss. Given, losing a family member yesterday and still needing to perform for a customer, that's the way it goes. That is business. That is how this works. That's why you have to love what you're doing. You can't just go do things as an entrepreneur that you don't love. You've got to be willing to eat dirt, but you got to love the taste. So thankfully, I weirdly love the taste of the dirt I'm eating every day. So that makes it worthwhile. Anyway, where I was going with that, you can be detached from the pressure of your clients. You don't feel like you need to keep them. Also helps in your negotiation position. Going into negotiation in about 2 hours, hour and a half, and with a customer, new customer, and I have a level of detachment from this negotiation, mostly because it's on behalf of one of my customers, which is actually really helpful as part of the strategy. Anyway, so circling back here, the dichotomy between your life and your mentality and your business and your life as an entrepreneur. That has, there's kind of two tenets I would take away from this. One, when you're thinking about your life as an entrepreneur, the health that you need in your human body, the mentality, your spiritual and mental health, you have to be willing and able to carve out time daily and seasonally, especially when something hits the fan, like a family member passes, or you're diagnosed with strep throat, potentially have COVID, like potentially me this week. You have a level of clarity and awareness to strip everything else away and be able to invest in those things in yourself, because that is what's going to help you to perform well as an entrepreneur, and your customers, your partners, your vendors, your family, your friends, your Lord will be glorified in that, and you will be at a better place to perform and to do what you were meant to do with this business. So I would encourage you, and I'd be more than happy to talk to you about this. I'm going to put my email address in the chat here. If you would like to talk to me about that concept, please shoot me an email. Vanessa, my assistant, will probably help coordinate that call for you. But I would love to hear how you are becoming more self-aware in order to carve out time for yourself to recharge and to do things that you know you need to do in order to perform well. And don't let performance push you into an unhealthy life. That's happened for me a lot in my life. In very specific seasons, I've pushed myself too far and have caused issues. So I would encourage you not to do that. I would love to share my experience with that with you. Listen to this full video if you'd like to hear a little bit more of those examples this week for me in my life as an entrepreneur. Appreciate you guys. I've got my faithful one viewer, but I'm okay with it. And until next time, thanks.